Calgary now. I'm joined by Sean Carleton. He is an assistant professor at Mount Royal University's Department of General Education. His research examines the history of settler colonialism, capitalism, colonial violence, and Indigenous resistance. Sean, great to have you back on the program. I feel you and I are going to have that same conversation we had last week in terms of where things stand and that role that we've seen between police and Indigenous peoples and that resistance. Your thoughts now in terms of what you saw unfolding here today?
Yeah, I mean, as a historian, I'm disappointed. We often talk about learning from the lessons of the past so, that we don't make the same mistakes. And, here we are just a week later after speaking. And again, Canada has decided to use force, a kind of might as is right approach. And unfortunately, I think it shows a sign of weakness and a lack of courage on Canada's side to actually sit down at the table, understand what the Wet'suwet'en chiefs were asking for, which was not unreasonable, and instead trying to kind of use smoke screens and then use force again to kind of protect the economy, as Canada has been doing for the past 150 years.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Sean, and I guess quote what Safety Minister Bill Blair had put out, saying that the RCMP is there, and this is in the BC territory that we're talking about, where the Wet'suwet'en chiefs have said that they want them to leave that area, that they're there to sort of to manage and protect the people in that area, to protect everyone. So they were offering to stand away, to stand back, but I guess not to fully leave the territory. Your thoughts on that, to say, OK, we're providing here an olive branch and we want to have dialogue, but we have everybody else to sort of keep an eye on as well.
Well, I mean, the problem is that while they said they were going to pull out, in fact, they've been pulling people over, profiling people, performing unsanctioned surveillance on Indigenous people, as Canada has been doing for 150 years. So they said they were going to leave, and then they didn't. And that's why those talks didn't happen. And I think, Canada really needs to look in the mirror and figure out, are we committed to dialogue and diplomacy? Do we have the courage and conviction to actually change our behavior? Or are we just going to continue to use force to get our way? And I hope that we can find a different way to move forward, but it doesn't look like it. Based on the events of this morning.
What does this mean for reconciliation, what we've seen here today?
I think we're clearly at a crossroads. Is reconciliation going to continue to be hollow promises, or is it actually going to be getting down to the root cause of these issues, which is the ongoing history and practice of colonialism in this country? And if Canadians we don't have the courage to fix some of those issues, then Indigenous resistance is going to continue, and events like this will unfortunately have to continue. Is
this a turning point, do you think, for Canadian Indigenous voices?
I think that last night there were talks going on with the Wet'suwet'en chiefs and the RCMP that it looked like diplomacy actually could win the day. And unfortunately, the OPP, just like they did in Ipperwash in 1995, decided to use force. And I think, we are seeing this as a really important moment. I really do hope that diplomacy, nation-to-nation negotiations can continue. But if Canada is committed to that might is right approach, I'm really concerned that reconciliation, if it's not dead already, is certainly on life support. And that should be concerning to all involved.
Such a critical conversation from Mount Royal University Assistant Professor Sean Carleton. I think you and I will be speaking again soon, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you.